Hey everyone, welcome to the No Guts, No Galaxy podcast number 160. We are your hosts, Phil and Darren. Today is August 16th, 2017. I'd like to say welcome to everyone out there. Hopefully you're having a great day, night, morning, wherever you are in the world. And of course, before we really get started, like say, how you doing, Mama Bear? The beard of wisdom, the wizard. You doing all right?
I'm doing great, man. As some of you know, many of you know, I've been in moving hell for a matter of months. I've moved 3 times in the last 3 months, but I am in my final destination, and I hate using that terminology because I feel like something's going to shoot in here and cut off my head when I say that. But anyway, this is my home for the next year, multiple years or whatever. As you can see, I finally made use of those banners that Hairbrain Scheme sent me.
Yeah.
And yeah, pretty much have my office set up. I'm sad because of that down on the on the ground, but I don't have space.
Just get rid of the. I told you, get rid of the Liao. I mean, we don't. I mean, it's not like it's gonna.
But then I would have to hang that like that, and it just doesn't work.
You know, Merrick and the combined can go. I mean,
I need a bigger webcam space so that I can just use my entire back wall or something like that. But anyway, things are very good. Also, just 2 days ago, I had a nephew born. I have a new nephew. He's 2 days old, and so I'm excited about that. Basically, things are going very well right now. How are things going for you? It's been a long time since we've done this.
Yeah, man.
Podcast number 159 was like a while back.
It was a while back. Doing well, man. Just keeping active. Got, I mean, really, it's funny. My friends
You're
are
always
like,
playing in the mud.
Yeah, people are like, so, you know, anything new? And I'm like, training for another race and another one. And I've got races coming up in what? About a week and a half, and then next month I travel up to Vermont for a big one as well. But yeah, that's my life. I just crawling through mud or getting cut and barbed wire. You know,
the Marines wasn't enough.
You know, like you know, yeah. But anyways, we have 2 very special guests, and I'd like to introduce you guys. Obviously, you guys know Bandit B17 in the house. How you doing, man?
Shoutcaster extraordinaire.
Oh, now you make me blush. I'm doing all right. How you doing?
Doing good, man. And on the other side, we've got...
Wait. What? Sorry, don't mean to interrupt the Xavier introduction. We will
just
get to
totally
him.
interrupted it.
I know, I totally did. My
That's Xavier,
Xavier,
by the way. Hello, Xavier.
But we'll get to him in a second. Bandit, I wanted to say, speaking of Shoutcaster extraordinaire, you obviously saw the MechCon website, right?
Yeah,
dude, man, you are all over that thing. Like you're on it more than
like
Phil
all
and I.
like faded in the background and stuff, looking all official. That was
superstar.
I enjoyed saving every single one of those pictures from the gallery. That was exciting.
Hey, Darren,
and of course, we're gonna see you at MechCon 2017, right?
Yes.
Did you guys see on Twitter today? Strider posted that like photo book he made or someone made, and it was like MechCon 2016 and had photos.
Really
Did
cool.
you see that? It was actually really
cool.
Yeah. So.
I'm probably all over his book.
Now the big introduction, Xavier of Net Battletech NBT. Xavier, sorry about that interruption. How are you doing, and welcome to the podcast?
Thanks for having me. It is good to be here. This is about, what, 2 years since we talked about doing this, I think? We talked about doing it before the alpha.
Yeah, I do remember that. I've been looking forward to it very much, obviously knowing a lot of the history of NBT. I haven't known all of the history, and I did go to your website. By the way, if you want to check them out, their website is netbattletech.com. I'll link it in chat here in a second, but worth reading, and it goes way back. And let's see, should I get into that now?
Well,
I think we'll wait to get into that because I do have some questions, and one of the questions in there is the history. But Phil, did you have something to say?
I was just gonna say, I mean, NBT for me has a sort of soft spot because I remember playing in MechWarrior 4 with my group back then, and I didn't play with it in MechWarrior 3, but I played extensively in MechWarrior 4. So, I mean, I was sort of... I know there had been talks a while back of it coming to MWO, but then, of course, now with the API system, and I'm sure we'll get into all that. But, of course, if you guys didn't know, today's topic is Net Battletech. So, there you guys go.
Yeah. That's right.
Out of curiosity, Phil, who'd you play with in the Mech 4 days?
Wolf and Exile, actually. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, back in the day. Went by.
I was in LA.
Yeah, I didn't go by Sean Lang. I went by Phil and Kel back then. So.
And who does that? Right?
Oh.
Yeah. So it wasn't. Yeah. So it's been a minute, and it's sort of funny. I've ran into a few guys that I played with in NBT in MWO, but didn't know me. So until they realized, oh, you know, because my name changed. So yeah. But yeah, guys, anyways, just want to say thank you for taking the time out of your day. So let's go dive in here. MBT, what is it? What are you guys doing?
Well, let's be a little more exact. Your website says NBT or Net Battletech is a real-time planetary resource campaign league. That's a lot of words. What does that mean? What exactly does that mean? If somebody's coming here and going, what the heck is NBT? What is a real-time planetary resource campaign league?
So another way I like to describe NBT is it's a galactic scale board game where
Risk in space.
Yeah, where instead of rolling dice to determine outcomes, you are fighting battles in the game to determine outcomes. So the planetary aspect is that you are fighting over planets, or in the case of NBT now, you know, sectors of planets, groups of planets at a time. You're trying to capture space, similar to what you do in faction play.
Okay.
In that you're trying to capture space and you're trying to basically take stuff away from your enemies. Resource-based means that you don't just bring in whatever you want to the battles.
So I can't have like an endless supply of Warhammers or something like that.
Correct. If you can, but you would have had to set up your logistics and your supply chain and your economy such that you can keep buying a bunch of Warhammers.
I love that.
Yeah, so we get players in the league who absolutely love that aspect. Don't care if they ever play the game. They just love the logistics on the board.
And that's actually that's what I love.
Huge.
That's what I love about MBT is because Battletech in its sense, right? And of course with MWO we have all these different variants, all these different things. Well, when you put them in context of, well, you may not have many of them. What happens if you lose them? Question, back in the old day, MBT, you could actually lose resources as well. Is that a case with what you guys are doing?
Yeah, you can still, enemies or your opponents can attack you. They can steal your money. They can steal your mechs. They can destroy your means of production, which are factories on your planets. There's anything that you could do, you could think of doing in the real world to sort of hinder an opponent's ability to wage war against you, you can do an MBT.
So I think those words right there, just the whole logistics and supply lines and all of that, there's a certain demographic that is just insta boner, because like, and I love playing MechWarrior Online. I love just you know, shooting my enemies or whatever.
Hold up. We're having some issues.
Keep going. I'll bring it back up.
No, was that you?
I think it's all of us.
I think all of us got knocked out.
Son of a bitch.
Can they still hear us?
I was wondering if that timer. Yeah, I was wondering if that timer actually meant anything.
The countdown to our destruction. It was the Final Destination comment.
Exactly, you said that.
But anyway, I'm going to keep going on with what I was saying. Basically, I think there's a demographic that is going to get super excited about that, and I'm definitely one of those people. I love the logistical aspect. You know, managing resources, managing your unit or your group or whatever. And that's something that I think is going to totally set this apart, and I'm very excited about. And I know there's other people out there that are like that. And Bandit, I was talking to you earlier about, you know, the difference between other leagues and similarities between other leagues. Would you say that this NBT is going to be closer to, say, Proxys or Merrick Civil War than, say, MRBC or RHOD or whatever?
Yeah, I don't personally have experience with Proxys or Merrick Civil War, but I heard a lot of good things about it, and it, you know, there was emphasis on actually doing things in the inner sphere in those leagues and stuff like that. And yeah, I think it'll be a lot closer to that versus, you know, MRBC, where MRBC is all about structure, fairness, making sure every battle is identical between the two teams with very minor differences, of course, based on the side of the map you're on, whatever. And it's all about kind of making it more of an esports style thing, where NBT, there's attrition to worry about. And even if you're a team that isn't going to be able to go against the big dogs, just fighting in those battles and even doing damage to those mechs of your opponent can make a huge difference. And we see that even in the alpha that we ran, where we were getting our butts kicked, but we were still wearing them down until we had that opportunity to then go in there and win a match, take their mechs, and especially against the clans at the time, we needed that clan tech because it was pretty powerful. And that, after losing and losing and losing and losing and losing, and then starting to get victories, the entire tide of the war turned around. And it's like you can't really tell those kind of stories in, say, MRBC, where you lose 8 matches in a row and you're pretty much done for the season. It's significantly different in NBT.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's different people have different interests and are attracted to different types of leagues or tournaments or whatever. And while I can appreciate all of them, I love just flat out drop into a match and it's skill versus skill, and like you're saying, everything's equal ground, so that the only difference is skill. I think personally, I can get more involved because of the lack of skill, of course. I can get more involved in something that is more of logistically minded and using resources and in a long-term campaign like this. I'm super excited about it. I am going to post in. That doesn't mean, of course, because we were saying that maybe other leagues have a lot of rules. You guys don't. It's not like you guys don't have rules. I'm going to actually post a link in chat.
We've got rules.
You've got rules, and I'm going to post that link so people can check them out. Also, like I said, be sure to go to Net Battletech and you can get to it yourself. And also, just so everybody knows, Phil is working on getting video back up. I think
we know exactly what it was. I didn't think it was. Yeah, that's all right.
We forgot to pay our bill. We haven't done this in a long time, and so yeah, literally, that's what it is. We didn't pay our bill. So Phil's going to do that right now, and we'll get video back up as soon as we can. Sorry about that, guys. But until then, we're going to keep the discussion going. And so the next part that I'm interested in is basically the history of Battletech, because it's been around since, what, 1997? Is that correct?
Let's say mid-90s. I don't know exactly when it started. I think it started with NetMech, which is going to be mid to towards the late 90s. I know it's at least 97 because it was Mech 3. So it's been around a pretty long time.
Yeah, so it's, I think, in a lot of ways, to certain people, like Phil was looking back on his days with MechWarrior 4, I think in a lot of ways, Net Battletech is nostalgic, just like MechWarrior and Battletech are for people. It'll be interesting to see how many people playing NBT and MWO are returning from previous iterations or whatever. So Xavier, specifically to you, how and when did you get involved with NBT?
I got involved with NBT in the NBT 4 days. This would have been back when Dee Kerensky was still running the league, before she turned it over to Dark Phoenix. Some of you may remember those names. I had discovered MechWarrior 4. MechWarrior 4 is actually where I started in MechWarrior. I discovered it, basically I borrowed it from one of my friends because it looked interesting. And those of you who know, that's all it took to get hooked. And you play through the campaigns, and campaigns are done. It's like, oh, look, here's some online stuff. And went around, found online stuff was fun, found a team to join, left that team, started my own. We were looking for a league to join, and we heard about this thing, NBT. Everyone kept talking about NBT. You guys got to play NBT. So we'll go check out NBT. Entered NBT 4 as Mercs, and soon, soon merged into Learn Alliance, and sort of, I moved up into the executive officer role and started basically doing all the logistics and stuff on the map for the next 2 or 3 years. And that would have been through NBT Mercs. About the same time, I was also volunteering to help Dark Phoenix work on the automation, bring up things like the PA tracker that we had back then and other features, to make the league better. So I probably played it pretty steadily for about 4 years, from 2000 to 2004.
Right on. So you have some history. You've been around the block with NBT. And now you're in the driver's seat. That's awesome. It looks like we do have video back up again. Phil paid the bill. Thank you, Phil. So if you guys can click on the link and we can get video going again, so that all these people out there in chat can see our beautiful
instead of just
faces.
me as a, like, you know.
I love that. I know the whole time there we had Phil's look of concentration as we were all chatting. But we'll get video back up going. It looks like Bandit's good to go. So Bandit, I'm going to say to you, it's your turn to answer a question. How are you involved with NBT? Of course, we know you from MRBC and of course MWOWC. But how did you? What's that?
What?
Huh?
We're good.
We're good.
Okay.
So Bandit, how are you involved?
Well, I started in NBT when they started up the alpha test for MechWarrior Online, basically running on the old automation, testing to see whether there was a viability to run NBT in MechWarrior Online. I, of course, was the drop commander and one of the leaders for Marine Mechs, and we were doing MRBC. We were liking it, and we decided we wanted to try something else during some of the downtime between seasons. So Marine Mechs, we represented the Eridani Light Horse, and we became house mercenaries for the Free Wrestlehog Republic, under, of course, Mech the Dane and Eisengrim. And that's actually kind of how I became friends with Dane, which is cool because we forged alliances and then forged friendships.
Nice.
We also paired with Intari Scorpions. They were with was it Grey Death Legion? I don't remember exactly what they were, but they were also house marks for FRR, and we all joined forces to fight against the scourge of the clan invasion, and it was extremely difficult. But a lot of good stories were forged there, a lot of good Mech the Dane style videos, some good roleplay in the forums too. I actually wrote up a few. I went back and read them today, kind of flexed my RP muscle a little bit.
You were admiring your own work? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you know, like Commander Bandit sending his jump ships off to take planets and stuff, whatever.
Nice.
You know, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And especially with the video productions and stuff, that was an absolute blast. But the best thing, of course, about it is just the player created stories. I mean, you could go and you could fight whatever, but following what's happening in the inner sphere and seeing the drama unfold is it reminds me a lot of Eve Online, where
Hell
it's
yeah,
all
and
just
politics
player-generated
and-
stuff. Politics. There was deception in the alpha too.
Total
We
Eve
got
Online.
backstabbed. We got backstabbed by them Merrick bastards. Decided to turn around and attack us. But no, there's a lot of really great stuff there, and I enjoyed it. And so then after that alpha test ended, I'm just sitting here waiting for it to come back. I knew Xavier was working on revamping the entire automation, refreshing it, getting it into a new code, I'm sure, a new language or anything like that, just completely redoing it. And I was just waiting patiently for it to come back, and then here it comes. So I got super excited, decided to throw my weight behind it for whatever that's worth. And of course,
It's
am
worth
admin
less
now.
now.
It's worth. Hey,
I see what you did there. Yeah.
Hey, so are you both going to be involved? And Xavier, I'll start with you. Are you just going to administer? Or are you going to play? What are you going to be doing?
I would love to play, but it's one of those things where it's kind of a conflict of interest when you can see everybody's data, even if it's not a. I mean, I wouldn't do anything with it, but there's the perception that, hey, he can see what we're doing. I don't necessarily, so rather than deal with it, just eliminate the possibility by not playing. My team's playing, other people are running it, but I'm certainly not going to be involved in running that team.
Don't worry, we will start drama, and we will call out your under-the-table dealings just to spice things up a little bit.
I was just gonna say, just play Comstar. I mean, they have all the data anyways on all the houses, so I think that would be appropriate.
What about you, Bandit? Now the way you just worded that, it makes me think you're going to be participating.
I actually am. So as I am an admin, but I'm more on the PR side, and of course answering questions that people might have. But I wanted to try and drum up excitement for the league and stuff, and that's kind of where I'm at. But of course, I have to understand the rules and everything so I can help people out. But that's at least where I'm at right now. But I will be a pilot under Mechthedane in the Isengrim, we will be representing a periphery faction called the Jarl Folk, I believe it is what he called it. Yarn Folk. Yarn. I don't even know my own faction. Jeez.
Can you make me a sweater, a scarf, something?
Yarn.
Yarn.
It's with a J.
Oh,
Yarn
okay.
Folk.
Of course.
Folk. So I will be dropping with Mechthedane and the rest of the Isengrim, and we will be conquesting the entirety of the Inner Sphere soon. Stay tuned.
I was gonna say,
sounds good.
So obviously you guys sound a lot different than what we currently have out there. With similarities, something like Proxys comes to mind. With the, MRBC has a little bit more in depth to it than, let's just say, Ron Hunt or Die, or even like the World Tourney and stuff like that. I can already hear, I already know the differences right off the bat, and you guys sort of pointed them out earlier. The question I have for you guys more is, what does that do to the experience? Like, what experience are you offering compared to the others? Because with that logistics and with that sort of metagame, if you will, of information and deception possibly and all that, what are you guys hoping to sort of bring to the table there?
Bandit already mentioned it. Drama. It's not MBT without drama. And Phil, you might remember
without drama, is
this is true. So Phil, you probably remember back in the Mech 4 days, there was plenty of drama in MBT. No end of drama. But that's what makes MBT interesting, is it's the community. I mean, as well as the depth of the game. I mean, there are so many different things you can do as opposed to just buying mechs and having to move them into place. The things you can do to, there's a lot of game theory involved. It sounds weird to talk about that in terms of a game, but there's more game theory involved in trying to figure out, if I do this, what will they do? And if they do that, you're trying to think 3 and 4 steps ahead of your opponents to try to implement your strategy.
Gotcha.
All right, here's my follow-up. So there's a lot of logistics, there's a lot of drama. Is there any action?
Plenty of action.
Because you're going to drop in and you're actually going to fight, right? Your battles are going to determine whether you disrupt a supply line or you destroy a factory or whatever, right? And you're going to be able to point and click and destroy the enemy mechs. There's going to be a lot of action as well, right?
Absolutely. So there's 2 different types of things you can do in the MBT. There are all the battles right now, apart from clan trials, are at sector scale. So you have sector raids and sector assaults. Sector raids, you're doing things like you're either going to steal something from the enemy, you're going to force some sort of economic or political effect on the enemy to disrupt their ability to do stuff. You're going to disrupt or destroy their resources. Those are going to be 3, 4, 5 drop battles, depending on the size of the sector. And then you have sector assaults when you're going in to take the territory. And those can be pretty lengthy. But then again, you're playing for 6 to 14 planets at a time.
Let me, I don't know if you've answered this because I was getting that, but okay, so what about equipment, battle mechs? Is there restrictions? Is it stock only? What about customization? Does that play into effect? Are you only able to have X amount of type of weapons? How does that work?
And do units start off on equal ground at the beginning of the season or whatever? Like, does everybody have a certain amount of battle points or whatever towards their mech collection or whatever?
No, I mean, you start off with a scaled amount of resources that matches your faction size. So obviously smaller periphery states are going to have less stuff than Fed Suns, for example, who's got 512 planets. So it's definitely not, I guess you'd say, it's not symmetric. It's not equal.
It's not fair, but it's all right.
It's not supposed to be either. You're not supposed to.
You know what you have when you're going into it, though. Like, you know what you're getting into, and it's kind of like, do I want to be in hard mode and pick a faction that has very little resources, knowing that I can outskill my opponent, or do I want to start off with a lot of resources but potentially be attacked from like 7 different directions, kind of thing?
Right, and that's one of the things that you mentioned. Dane, for example, is looking for a challenge. So he took a very small periphery, and he's going to try to impose his will by might.
And we don't have any factories either, by the way. We have
you
our
should have.
inventory, and that's it. I don't think we have any factories.
I'll have to look. I thought you had one.
Give me factories.
You do now.
Everyone should have factory. At least
Nobody's
one
going to
factory
give you
producing
them,
something.
Bandit. You have to take them.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the rights, the passage. You gotta, take
yeah,
that
so-
what is yours.
So what you do is teams will take a faction that matches their anticipated activity level or their anticipated level of competitiveness. Pretty much everyone knew who was where on the map. It was, I'm not going to say a foregone conclusion, but I was really hoping that HHOD would sign up for Davion, which they did. So, I mean, it's kind of like you could build...
People have their favorites for sure.
Exactly. So, I mean, there you can take factions around Davion if you wanted to play HHOD. So, I mean, you knew that going in. Yeah, I may not have as much. I know who I'm playing. I know what I can do. I know what to expect, basically.
Okay, so you've got the Inner Sphere. You've got these different faction houses, mercs. You've got all these. Are there unique attributes to playing a smaller, like, obviously you're talking about territory. Are you able to be a smaller faction, but hey, I can leapfrog and get like 3 places in and hit behind enemy lines? Or are there any uniqueness to playing the different, smaller instead of just going big, or vice versa?
Yeah, there are unique jump types, for example, for the periphery. The periphery can jump around through all of the other periphery states. Something that, I mean, if Fed Suns wanted to get to the other side of Free Worlds League, it would take a long time, whereas a periphery could do it in 1 or 2 jumps.
Gotcha.
Mercenaries have an additional ability as well that allows them to easily jump to into their employer space when they take a contract. The clans can jump back and forth between their home worlds and the invasion if there are invasion clans. So, I mean, Clan Wolf, for example, can have factories up in the home worlds and supply their invasion forces with mechs from those factories using the clan homeworld jump.
And
So
as a mercenary, I was able to jump pretty far too, because we took a contract with House Liao last time in Alpha, because they had a call out. They needed help against somebody that was kind of kicking their butt, so they contracted our team to temporarily come down there. We loaded up a jump ship with a lot of the clan mechs that we had taken from Clan Wolf, took them down to House Lao, and started helping them push back against that team. Which was actually Flavor of the Month Gaming was controlling the Magistracy of Canopus. And so we started fighting against them, and we got a nice, pretty payday there, and was able to buy, I think that was TCAF, bought them some reprieve and stuff like that. But we were able to basically jump all the way from the FRR in like 1 or 2 jumps and get down to House Lao to do our job.
See, what you just described there is what gets me excited. Not fighting for House Liao, unfortunately, but the rest of it, just the fact that somebody was able to hire you, you load up a drop ship with your salvaged mechs, and you head out to take up a job. I love that. That's what gets me excited about NBT. Phil had a question there.
The negotiations was fun too. The diplomacy.
Oh yeah.
I remember I was doing the negotiations with that team, and it was like we're sitting at a freaking business table discussing the pay rates and stuff like that, and I'm like, this is how many mechs I can bring, and I can promise you this many battles with these mechs and stuff.
This is Battletech Mech Warrior brought to frickin' life. I mean, that's what it is. It's getting to actually take part in the novels and be a part of the whole scene. I love that. Phil, you wanted to ask about stock?
Yeah, is this stock only, or are you guys allowing customization?
No, it's full custom.
Okay.
Full custom, and one of the things that Bandit mentioned about MRBC, in order to give everyone a level playing field, is they will, there's no hero mechs, no non-C-bill variants. In MBT, we're allowing use of heroes and non-C-bills and MC mechs. Basically, really no restrictions at all. In the alpha, we had to restrict streaks because they were just so obnoxiously overpowered. And the drop tonnages were a lot lighter, so you ended up with, in Clan versus IS battles, you ended up seeing however many Streak Crows and Streak Arctic Cheetahs against IS Lights, and it didn't work out well. So we ended up having to ban those, but I don't think we're going to have to do that this time.
And that
Of
was
course, it is important to note though that this is kind of a beta in a way. So I mean,
It is.
we're gonna be dynamic as things come up. If it turns out that having hero mechs is a terrible idea, if it comes to light that it's a terrible idea, we'll have to evaluate that and adapt to
Sure.
it. But that's what we're starting with right now, and then we'll see where it goes.
And that was actually
Very cool.
That was leading into my next question, which was mechs and the balance between clan and IS, and even IS versus IS. How does that work? I mean, is it determined like, okay, you only have this amount of tonnage, but it also plays into what mechs you have available? What about Omni mechs? Are they just treated as just one mech? So you only have a Timberwolf. You don't have to worry about the Omnipods used and stuff like that?
Correct. Basically, everything's an Omni. We're doing it by chassis. We tried by variant in the alpha, and it ended up being a logistical nightmare, both in mainly trying to match the mechs you could purchase with the mechs your pilots had in the game. So this time we're going with chassis-based system on both sides. So like you said, the Omnipods won't matter. Your IS variants won't matter. Panther is a Panther. And awesome is an awesome. A Warhammer is a Warhammer.
Gotcha.
Warhammer. All right. So let's see. There was a question in chat. Oh yeah. You guys mentioned you can be a part of a smaller unit. You can be a part of a big unit. Does that affect the amount of time that one would expect to be playing each week? Do you have any idea already? Like if basically how much time involvement is going to be going on here?
It's largely self-regulated by the teams that are in the factions. Smaller units there's a system of defend limits. Everyone has a certain number of defend slots, whether that be a raider or an assault. Smaller units have 1, and larger units have 2. So larger units will always have to be able to fight at least 2 battles ongoing at the same time. Smaller units 1. You can self-regulate that. If you want more activity, you just attack more. So you can always attack up to your defend limit. So larger units, they can have 2 attacks and 2 defends going at the same time. Now, if you think about that, it doesn't sound like a lot, but that's probably 4 nights a week of playing, just in the league.
And is this 12v12? Is it? How does that go as far as like player numbers?
It's 8v8. Everything's 8v8.
Okay.
Cool.
Darren, this reminds me a lot. We've talked about World of Tanks in the competitive league. We've talked about faction play in MWO, and one of the things that I've always wanted, and it seems like this offers, is when you have battles, you already know ahead of time, right? It's not like you just sign up for a battle and it happens right this second. What you guys are talking about is sort of like scheduling out. So you already know, is it a few days ahead or is it a week ahead? Hey, I need you guys here at this point in time. These are the mechs that we're taking. These are the loadouts where we're having. And then, hey, we've also got drop 2. So, hey, group 2, you guys need to be ready and on your game as well. I mean, this is the type of logistics you guys are, tossing out there. It doesn't just seem like, you have a battle right then and there. Oh, crap, well, where's our players? We don't have enough guys. Everything's already laid out in front of you. Boom, you get the battle done, and you may be done, or you move on to your next match or whatever. So it's just nice and clean. That's what it seems like. Am I correct?
Yeah, it's definitely scheduled. There's a system in there where, if 2 teams want to play right now, they can launch a battle and 5 minutes later be playing it. But in generally, what you're going to do is you're going to launch a battle. Your opponent's going to see that. Everyone's going to reinforce, make sure they have everything there in the sector for the battle that they want. At the same time, they're going to schedule when they're going to play it, which is usually sometime within the next week after the battle's launched. Either play the raid or to start playing the assault. So it's more like MRBC in that regard than it is faction play or CompQ.
One thing that is a little bit different though is you're controlling a faction, but you can have multiple units that represent that faction. And what we're seeing is bigger factions where they know they're going to be doing like 4 battles a week will be teaming up multiple units together to be able to handle that workload. And even cross region, like you'll have a faction that's got an Australian team and an American team and a European team all on there, so they can respond to whatever time of day that a battle might come in on. and we can see that more and more often for the bigger teams, and it actually works pretty well, being able to share that, the power. And then you can pick like the best pilots for the job too, or you can combine, even in the alpha, with the house mercs. It's a little bit different this time, but we were doing combo teams where we'd have like 3 or 4 Isengrim players, 2 Marine mechs, and 2 Antari Scorpions, and we'd all play together. And it's like the best pilots from all of them, and we would go in and win a match and stuff. So there's ways to share that workload and make it easier, so you don't just have to worry about a 12-man team shouldering 4 matches a week.
Gotcha. Another question
from chat. You want to?
Oh, I was gonna ask, when it comes to how are you gonna rate mech? Are you rating mechs on like a battle value system, or is it more like a C-bill cost? And of course, that goes to production and logistics.
Basically, you bring whatever fits in the tonnage to the battles and whatever you can afford. We're trying to let market forces enforce scarcity and produce variety in the loadouts that people bring to the battles. So basically what's going to happen is if hunchbacks are super popular and everyone's buying them, it's going to be hard to get them, and they're going to be expensive. So if you want to go fight a battle, you may have to pick a different 50-tonner or something different entirely. You're not going to be able to keep bringing just the meta mechs all the time, because it's eventually going to it just won't be viable. Does that answer your question?
Kintaros.
Yeah, I'm going to try and get to some of these questions in chat, even though we do have some more of our own questions. I just see them scrolling by. If we don't ask, guys, it's fine to ask again. Naderus asks, how are you going to handle faction-specific equipment like aerospace tanks and dropships that aren't represented in MWO as far as the MWO client?
We are not. Once MWO is up and running smoothly, probably going to look at basically integrating MBT and Megamech, which has support for all of that. So if you want to play the full combined arms Battletech experience in the future, I don't have a time date for it, but in the future there ought to be a Megamech League.
Okay, and that does hit up again. Bandit did mention earlier, this is, would you call when it launches here soon, beta, right?
Yeah, it's probably beta. He's right. It's a brand new code base that I started writing really 2 years ago, on and off, and I've picked up steam the past few months as we get closer to launch. But everything about it is new. So there's going to be bugs. I'm hoping that when we launch, there's no bugs that blow away someone's entire faction.
Just call it early access. That's what everybody's doing now, right?
Yeah, that's when you just let your users be your beta testers.
Yep, which is fine. I mean, we all want the league to be as great as possible, so we're all going to help test it and iron out the kinks or whatever. Another question from chat is, how do we find out what mechs we have access to? For example, if they're Clan Ghostbearer, they get the Kodiak, but what else?
Any clan mech you want, you can pick during setup. If you're a Clan Ghostbearer, you can see what your factories produce. But one of the Bandit alluded to this too: the diplomacy and the dealings with other units. You don't have to make everything that you use. If you are allied with another unit, you can purchase from their factories.
That's cool.
So
what you're saying is
it's important to set up the right alliances and maintain them.
So what you're saying is
right reasons.
The Kodiak's literally the Ghostbearer is maybe the main manufacturer in that, but you can buy them, but maybe they're like, well, you're going to pay more for them now, or something like that. Or then you don't want to pay for them, you try to raid some of their factories to get some. I mean, that's sort of what it goes down to, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you really need Kodiaks and Ghostbearer is the only one handy who produces them or has them, then if they're not going to allow you to buy them, you're going to have to go take them.
Damn right. All right, so there's obviously some skill involved as far as you drop into a match. Oh, you got all blurry. There you go. So you drop into a match and you're playing against other players, 8v8. Do you need to be a top player, like a comp player, to enjoy NBT? What do you guys think?
You do not. I think we've got the map set up pretty well for competitive balance, the teams who are near each other and likely to fight each other are going to be pretty evenly matched. And if you do get into a mismatch, one of the things, there were 2 ways I would have liked the map setup to go. One was all of the top tier Div A teams take the big houses, and everyone else sort of fill in around the edges. The way it ended up is we have a whole bunch of teams that are really into the game, and if any imbalances do crop up, a lot of your top Div B and Div A teams have taken mercs this time, so you can hire them to go solve your problem for you.
And isn't that sort of the point, though? Is sort of like you're going to run into people that are potentially just straight up better, but there are solutions out there to solve your problem, whether it's mercs or maybe we don't want to piss off the Ghost Bears because they're really good or whatever. So I mean, to me, that's one of the factors that I really liked. But that brings up a question that I have, which is, what is the end goal here? Like, is it just to survive? Is it for
get everybody to quit?
Right, to like, is it to take over? Is it, obviously if you're lore wise, if you're the clans, right, it's to get to Terra and all that, blah blah blah. But from a motivational standpoint, is it just purely intrinsic? Is it one of those where we do just want to be the best? Is that what's going to be pushing?
Probably wanting to be the best is part of it. It's a large part of it. Wanting to, if you're a house, maybe you want to be the dominant house. If you're a merc, maybe you want to have the top MRBC rating. If you're a clan, it's 3062. We can't push the Terra for another 5 years. So it's a good question. It's a question MBT has always struggled with. I know in the past, Dark Phoenix has experimented with allowing units to have objectives to shoot for, and if they would reach his objectives or if they accomplish them, he'd like give them additional stuff in the automation. I'm trying to think of, and have been for a while, trying to think of ways to have an end game. And an end game is also not really the right word either, because so much time and effort is put into the league that just having it end seems like, okay, I just spent a year of my life doing what?
Gotcha.
So I'm
I would say having fun. You spent a year of your life having fun.
It's like having like seasonal milestones, I guess. Like as a group, like what is our goal for this season? Would be, okay, we want to increase our territory by 10% or whatever. I mean, and I know that was a loaded question. It's one of those where I feel like that's one of the beauties of something like this as well. It's something that me and Darren, we talked about EVE Online. Like it's a giant sandbox, and you as a group, and in this case, you as a house, a merc, a clan, you write your experience and you push towards your goals of whatever those goals are. And here's the thing that I really like, and it's something that you can have a group that's out there, is their goal is just to create mayhem. Like in Bandit, you were sort of hinting at that. That's you guys were gonna go out there and just let's stir the pot. Let's
Well, I was chasing the almighty Seabill personally, but I think I was more of an exterminator. We were taking care of a rodent problem in House Lao and stuff, so they were creating mayhem, and they had some really good RP too. It was hilarious. Those guys were absolutely completely
crazy,
ridiculous. I don't know if you know the MOC is it's mostly females, right? I guess that's my understanding of it. It's a female run faction, I guess is my understanding.
Yeah,
they role played it pretty well, I gotta say.
Right on.
I think their leader or whatever, their god was Beyonce or something. It was hilarious, but
not Romano.
Somebody had to go take care of that threat, and so we answered the call.
You guys mentioned some dates, potential of seasons or whatever. Are you starting off at any particular date? Are there any mechs that are going to be excluded because of date, etc.?
No.
If it's in MWO, it's in the game. It's in NetBattletech.
If it's in MWO, it's in the game. As soon as the next mech pack comes out, it'll show up in somebody's factories, and maybe we'll possibly sprinkle some in the black market so everyone can have some.
Can I just say I'm friggin' excited for this. I want it to happen now.
Yeah.
So we talked about you don't need to be a top player. I mean, there's obviously a place for that, and having the skills will definitely benefit your team unit or whatever you're part of. But with all these logistics and knowing, you know, all that aspect of BattleTech, do you need to be a lorehead? And, you know, I use that term, I'm not making fun of anybody, but the people that are out there that, you know, are totally into the backstory and are a Wikipedia like Phil and maybe Bandit or whatever of all the different mechs and the planets and politics or whatever. Do you need that to enjoy NBT?
Not at all. When I joined NBT, I had never heard of BattleTech and loved it immediately. If you do love the lore, I think you'll also like Net Battletech. There's a lot of lore to it. We're not bound by lore. You know, we use lore as the guide, but I think it was mentioned earlier that we write our own story. So, as DP always said, I feel like I'm, you know, the great sage who's
Passing it on
Dark
from
Phoenix.
generation to generation.
Yeah, he specifically said that, you know, use lore as a guide. It's not it's not your bounds. It's a starting point.
Yeah, I think that's good.
All right, and there's a lot of people that are out there that are interested, I see in chat, that are not a part of a team or a unit or a group of any type or whatever. Can you tell me,
I'm gonna get involved. I'm saying it now.
See, Phil got excited just from this podcast.
Well, yeah, I mean, I knew NBT was coming out. I knew we were having the podcast with you guys, and it's everything that I remember, and it's everything that
Phil, Bandit just pointed out we do have a countdown on time. Is that really gonna?
No, we shouldn't.
I see it too. Anyway, if we all go black again, we know what's going on. So, do you need to be in a unit? Can you play solo? If you need to be in a group, is there a way for people to, you know, is there a recruitment form on MWO? What do you do if you want to play in your solo? What do you do if you want to play and you have a unit?
There is currently nothing specifically coded for solo or lone wolf players in MBT. We're thinking about different ways to make that possible, but right now you would have to join a team that was in MBT, or if you're already in a team, just, you know, go to the website and click on the factions link, and if you see a faction that's available that you would like to take, just apply for it.
As for individual pilots, we don't have any system in there right now for a hiring hall within the game. It is something that we're exploring, though. We really want to try and find a way to get solo pilots involved somehow. The logistics of that, we want to make sure that if we do it, we want to do it right. But until we get to that point, we're putting a focus on directing people to forum hiring halls, to our Discord, and just have people indicate, hey, I want to participate in this. And there are teams out there that will take on pilots that don't necessarily need you to take up with their unit. You know, you can offer your services, and it happens even in MRBC, where it's like, I just want to play, I want to offer my services, and I want to play for a faction, and I don't necessarily want to join your unit. And some teams are fine with that. Some teams aren't, but some teams are. And so we want to be able to support directing people's attention to those forums and stuff to allow those connections to be made. There is, of course, the hiring hall within the competitive forums on the MWO forums. There's a place in there where individual pilots can post their, hey, I want to join a team. But there's also places in there where units can post their advertisements as well. So you can make connections there and just indicate that you want to participate in NBT. But of course, Discord is kind of the platform that we do a lot of our conversations on and stuff for NBT administration. There is a hiring hall in there. So you can post in that hiring hall saying, hey, I'm looking for a team, and you're almost guaranteed to have somebody message you, especially if people are controlling larger houses and stuff. They need all the help they can get to make sure that they can field pilots for a lot of these battles. And especially since, even from my experience, I mean, we were up against a relatively large team, and you know, pilot attrition is a thing, and we were hitting them, and you started getting into their second tier pilots and stuff, because their first tier pilots were starting to be overwhelmed by attacks and stuff. So there's merit to bringing on more and more pilots to really shoulder that load.
Excellent. Now, I know Phil's going to have an opportunity, because he's going to get Opie all over getting Wolves in Exile involved in one way or another. But I do not currently have a unit, so I am looking, guys. If anybody out there has a team and they're looking for,
sorry, dude. We have a strict age limit.
Yeah,
I didn't make the rules. Like,
we're not the freaking clans, man.
You know,
that's
like,
the other thing. I'm Intersphere only,
right.
So you dirty clanners, stay away. Don't contact me. But
well, I'm Wolf and Exile. I'm a clanner.
There,
I'm just protecting the Intersphere. What you know? I'm a warden. Why are you hating?
Yeah. So, but I'm serious. I am looking. Contact me. When does NBT start? What are you guys looking at as far as a green light?
Like I said, probably the next, a little more than a week. I'm hoping live fire can start. It depends on when everyone is done with everyone's got the factions set up, how they like them, and when I can be sure that the basic systems we need to launch battles and move stuff around doesn't blow up.
Excellent. I'm sorry. I'm just enjoying chat.
It is important to note, though, that just because we have kind of a go live going on in the next week or so, that that doesn't mean that new teams couldn't still sign up. If somebody really wants to come in, they're more than welcome. There's going to be like this initial setup period where we just have to kind of get through it and make sure everything's working. And then after that kind of settles down, any new teams that apply, they'll work with Xavier to actually get slotted into those factions. And we would rather have more teams show up and take those factions instead of having vacant land in the inner sphere kind of thing.
Also, to clarify, Damaski, no, I think you're misunderstanding. They've created a third-party website, Net Battletech, that utilizes MechWare Online as the game that's played, a private lobby. There's no mixed tech. That's if you can't do it in MWO physically, you can't do it. So just to clarify, I think you've posted a few things that you're misconstruing a few things. There's no aerotech, there's no tanks, there's no dropships physically in MWO as far as, well, there are dropships, but what happens is you have a match, it then kicks a battle report number ID, you take that ID and you plug it in NBT, you submit it, it'll obviously deduct mechs if you lost them or wobble, that whole system. So this is totally separate. So hopefully there's that clarification now. So
also, you can go to netbattletech.com. If you scroll down on that homepage, there's information about getting involved. Visit the official forums. You got Net Battletech TeamSpeak, Discord, all that. You can get in touch with these guys and get your unit involved, or find yourself a unit to get involved with, like I will be doing. It's cool. I'm seeing people in chat that have played NBT before that are coming back to it. For example, Ruff there. He actually, when he streams, he goes by NBT Ruff. So it's cool to have people coming back and participating in this again. And being as excited about it as obviously Phil and I are. And you will see us participating and hopefully streaming and, getting as involved as we can.
By the way, API hype.
API, man. Yeah. Does that help us or what?
I also want to say one thing about the teams. Just because you see a team is quote unquote taken doesn't mean that we don't need additional help there. I would love to have an AP footprint, an EU footprint, and an NA footprint in all the factions, so that everyone has someone to play and that the league goes on around the clock. That'd be awesome.
Excellent. All right, guys, we are going to wrap up our interview with Xavier and Bandit. Is there anything, guys, that we missed? That's to both of you, Xavier and Bandit, that you'd like to say? Any
well, look,
final
if
words?
If it blacks out, we've already upgraded it.
Yeah,
so
we'll just
yeah.
Okay, but no, but we are at the end.
I don't want to rush and be like, all right, that's it. Blah, blah, blah.
Get the hell out of here.
Right.
No, but is there anything that you want to say? Go ahead.
I do want to thank a bunch of people. This does not happen alone. There wouldn't be NBT. I mean, even going back into the alpha, if it wasn't for Deadfire of 228, who basically dragged me into pulling the alpha together just to see if there was any interest. Turned out there was a bunch of interest. Thank you, Deadfire.
Thank you, Deadfire.
Thanks to everyone who
we just went black, but we're still here.
It's all right.
Yeah, thanks to everyone who played it the first time and has come back the second time. Thanks to Bandit and Lukoi this time for really helping. I mean, I didn't really have a ton of time to work on community relations, and Bandit and Lukoi and Mech the Dane, for example, have been super helpful and just spreading the word and getting, like Luke Hoy was organizing teams and asking teams if they're willing to share, trying to fill up the map. Bandit has been just awesome.
Aw, I'm blushing again.
We already know that about Bandit.
I'm so lucky to have Bandit around this time. It's just, there's things these guys bring to the table that I can't do or don't have the time to do, and just makes all this possible.
It takes a village.
Yes.
Cool. Very awesome. Yeah, thank you to all of those that he listed as supporters. We appreciate it. We, the players, definitely looking forward to it. Bandit, do you have any?
Yeah, there's one more point I wanted to make, and that's we don't have anything in place right now, firm. But one of the cool things about this, and it happens in EVE all the time. In EVE, there'd be all this stuff happening, right? And I didn't even play that game for the longest time. Like I played it and then I stopped, and like years later I was still reading about all the cool shit that happened in that game. And that's the kind of stuff that can happen here. Even if you're not participating in NBT, maybe you're not a good enough pilot, or you feel you're not a good enough pilot to contribute or whatever, and you just want to follow the action, there's ways to follow the action. The stories write themselves, and we really want to start putting a focus on bringing some of these stories to the light. There's been thoughts of maybe having some sort of like a news program saying like,
hell
this
yeah,
is what
like a
happened
weekly
in
news thing,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Like, this is what happened into the inner sphere, almost like an MRBC report, except there's a lot more to talk about, because it's not just a bunch of teams that fight each other. There's stuff being won, there's stuff being lost, there's upsets, there's diplomacy, there's all kinds of stuff. You could have advertisements, people saying like, contact Joe Schmo in the FRR, he's looking for a Merc unit or something. All this different stuff that could really add a lot of flair to it, and it's something that we're interested in doing. Just got to work out the logistics and stuff. But really, the biggest thing is that there needs to be an audience that is interested in seeing that. And if people want to see like updates as to what's happening, even if you're not actually playing in the league, that's gonna really light a fire under people's butts to start producing that content. And I think that in general will just make MechWarrior Online look that much more appealing too.
Yeah, I think it's going to be awesome. Again, if you guys want to check it out, head to netbattletech.com. It's right there in chat. And I'm positive there's going to be interest here. And like you said, we're all going to write the story, and that's what's exciting about it. So definitely looking forward to it. And we will have you guys back again once it's launched, once people have been playing it for a while, and there's new things to discuss or whatever. But again, even though we can't see you, I want to thank you, Xavier, and thank you, Bandit, for being here and sharing this info with us. We appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yes,
thanks for letting us sound off too.
Exactly. Thanks for having us on.
we'll make sure next time our bill was paid on time. I don't really. It's stupid. Anyways, guys, It's been a pleasure. I'm super excited. I'm going to be getting involved. Obviously, I need to reach out to my my comms officers and all that. So Opie and Lathmir, prepare yourself. Lots of paperwork.
Prepare thyself for logistics.
But yeah, I just want to say thank you guys for coming out. I know a lot of you guys will be interested, so head over to their website. Darren just dropped those links in chat. And if you're listening post, we will make sure it's in the link in the description on YouTube. And of course, you can find it on our SoundCloud recording as well. But yeah, I just want to say thank you again. So in other news, Darren, we just want to blow through this really quick? Or
Xavier and Bandit, you're welcome to stick around or take off, whatever you got to do. We are going to go through a little bit of news for Battletech and MechWarrior Online, and then we're going to shut down for the evening. But again, thank you for being here, and we'll see you on the other side.
Yep. Thanks again
Thanks
for having us, guys.
Later.
All right. In other news, Battletech. Yes, Battletech is, as most of you know, currently in the backers beta. We've been playing the heck out of it, Phil and myself. It is single player skirmish mode right now only, which is driving me a little crazy.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. But I hear there may be some multiplayer news coming out
very
an update
soon. Yeah, there's an update that basically says as much. And other things like balance changes, and
I think are they at Gen Con? What's going on right now? Is it one of the cons?
Yeah, I think anyway. Mitch wasn't going to be there. I think he made that clear in that last recording. But yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I expect that we're going to hear more news from Harebrained Schemes shortly, soon, maybe when they get back from wherever they're at right now. Very much looking forward to that. Of course, multiplayer is going to add a whole new aspect and ability for us to stream and play against you guys out there and so forth.
Some of you guys are going to die because some of you guys are going to be my mech warriors. Prepare yourself.
No doubt. And then moving on to MWO, as many of you know, again, MechCon 2017 tickets are for sale. Go to MWOmercs.com/MechCon. There's a website up there. It's got all the information. So many people going this year. It's going to be bigger than last year. If any of you regretted not going last year, be sure to get your tickets now. The earlier you do it, the better the deal is going to be on travel and hotel. It's all in one place this time. So the hotel that you're staying at, or you can stay at, is also the hotel that will be hosting the event. Like I said, tons of people. We haven't released the list of the VIPs that will be there this year, but if I'm going to go ahead and say that there's going to be more than were there last year. So maybe some of your favorite YouTubers or Twitch streamers, or I don't know, voice people and the Mech Warrior titles. Am I speaking of any individual in particular? Maybe, but it's going to be fun, just like it was last year. Totally looking forward to it. And as part of obviously MechCon 2017, that is the finals of MWOWC, which Bandit is also involved in as a shoutcaster. So MWOWC 2017, the tournament support pack is for sale right now. I'll drop the link in chat in a second. If you buy the tournament support pack, which is only $10, it gives you a 10% boost to all of your CBIL and experience earnings until December 31st this year at midnight. So that's a long time, and that stacks on everything else, premium time, premium mechs, etc.
And if you have those other items in the cockpit, it's 100%. So premium mech bonus, it's 100% CBIL.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so you get a standing cockpit item, you get a mounted cockpit item, you get a hanging cockpit item, you get decal badge, and the title, the altruist. But it's really that boost, which is super beneficial, stacks with everything. And like Phil said, you can, if you have everything, you can get up to 100% boost on those things. So if you, and plus buying that for $10 supports the tournament, the prize pool. So it's totally worth it. Phil and I got ours, and we'll be giving some away, which we'll buy, because we don't just give away you know, these support packs. Every little bit counts. It goes to the tournament. So we're excited about that. Check that out. I'll drop the link right now. And Phil, why don't you take us into this part?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you again, guys, for supporting us. You viewers, you listeners, beautiful bastards. Thank you guys so much for supporting us, whether it's listening, whether it's watching live. Just want to say thank you again. Speaking of support, if you guys would please consider supporting us by a variety of ways. One, you can subscribe to the channel. One, did you know you can sub for free? If you have Amazon Prime, you link your Twitch account, you get what's called Twitch Prime. It allows you to sub every single month. We'll drop that information in the chat. It takes about 30 seconds to do. It's a great passive way of supporting the channel. And of course, when we do hit our next sub point goal, I think we're around 250 right now. When we get to 300, we're doing this at least a 12-hour stream. Darren, I don't know if I'll do 12 and then he's doing 12. We're going to do something crazy.
Or we'll do shifts and we'll do 24 total.
Yeah, 24. I don't know. And then, of course, if you guys want to, you become a patron as well. Information, of course, is down below. And if you do any shopping on Amazon, we would appreciate if you use our link down below. That's all. All you got to do is click through, maybe even bookmark it, shop like you normally do. We get a small kickback. No personal information given, but it's just how Amazon affiliate works. So I just want to say thank you again if you choose to do that. Yo.
Do you like meat?
I like beef jerky and steak.
So do I. And we are proudly sponsored by Nick's Jerky. That's NIKSjerky.com. Be sure to head on over to nicksjerky.com right now. If you enter in the code NGNG, you get 5% off. And what is your favorite flavor, Phil?
Chipotle lime. And I actually have a pound that I just took out last night and put in the bag.
No shit.
Yeah.
Are you gonna show it?
Well, it's downstairs. No, it's.
Show your meat, Phil, right now on stream.
I'm shy, man.
No. My favorite is the original flavor, and I love brown sugar. But it's totally good. And like I just said, Phil and I know our meat, and this is good shit.
No, you know. Don't drag me into this. I was not.
If you like beef jerky, please help us and help them. nicksjerky.com, NIKSjerky.com. Also, be sure to check out our website at NoGutsNoGalaxy.net. Check us out on Twitch at NGNG TV, on YouTube at NoGutsNoGalaxy TV, on Twitter at NoGutsNoGalaxy, Facebook at NoGutsNoGalaxy Podcast. Why couldn't we have gotten all this the same? And SoundCloud at NoGutsNoGalaxy.
I blame you. I mean,
And for all the latest and greatest in mech porn t-shirts, be sure to check out NoGutsNoGalaxyStore.com.
but gentlemen, thank you so much. Quick shout out to, again, Bandit and Xavier. Looking forward to NBT myself. Super hyped. I think
Me too.
I think it's a lot of what we've wanted to be participating in. So very, very soon. But this was your local No Guts, No Galaxy MechWarrior podcast. Signing off for tonight. This is Phil.
And this is Darren.
Until next time, Mech Warriors.
We couldn't see the salute. I don't know if I did it.
It was so in sync. It was like the best sync ever.
In sync. We're never gonna get it more in sync.
No, it was glorious.
See you guys.
See ya.